Hi, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. Well, this week's guitar lesson is all about playing the chord changes. I want you to know how to do this when you improvise. It's a technique that's intimidating to a lot of people, but once you understand how to visualize some of these chord shapes and highlight notes that live within the chords, you'll start to realize that it's not as hard as you might think. So we're going to break all of this down note for note. It's a Western swing style, kind of a bluesy Western swing style lead. It works great on acoustic or electric guitar, so any guitar you've got, just grab it and follow along. I'm going to break everything down note for note and show you how to put this all in context so you can start to improvise in this style. So I've got this lesson split into two parts. In this video we'll take a look at the first half. If you'd like to watch the second half and get the tablature and get the MP3 jam track so that you can practice playing this lead, and I've got it in two tempos, you can get that by going to ActiveMelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP304. Alright, so I can't start off this video without at least mentioning this guitar. Anytime I do that, I always get lots of questions, which I think is cool. I love the fact that people are interested. So this is one that I've had for about a month, and I got it here in Nashville. It's a 1957 Gibson ES-125. And so you can see that it's a much thicker hollow body electric guitar. It's really more like an acoustic guitar. It basically is an acoustic guitar with a P90 pickup in it. You can think of it that way. But I just love the way that these things feel. They have the sound of the P90 is so cool, so vintage. And I put 13 gauge strings on it, so it's not, they're not real flimsy. It plays more like an acoustic guitar, but I just been looking for one for a while, and all the ones that I come across are usually in pretty bad shape. It's not hard to find a 125. You can look around and find them. They're out there. But this one is just set up perfectly. It's probably had a neck reset at some point, and I don't think these are original tuners. They look like they're in too good a shape. But that's what it is. It's a Gibson ES-125. And you'll be seeing a lot more of this. Alright, so let's talk about the song structure. So this song is played in the key of A. And we're going to go through the chords first, and then we'll learn how to play the lead part on top of those chords. So it's the very first thing that I played was an E augmented chord. And actually, I don't play that. You hear that in the jam track. So think of that as the 5 chord. It's a kind of a classic way to start a song. You start with the 5 chord, and then you go to the 1 chord. So you hear that, and then it goes to the 1. It resolves on that 1. So the 1 chord is an A, then the 2 chord is an F sharp major. Now typically your 2 chord would be a minor, but in this case we're going to play a major. So it's an F sharp major. So we have an A, F sharp major, or F sharp major 7, and then a B, B7. Then E, back to that E augmented, and then back to the A, and then the E. There's your turnaround, and then we go back through the cycle again. So that's the first set of chords we're going to play over. So just remember, let's start with the first two. It'll be the A and the F sharp major. Nice little contrast to hear the 1 chord and then a major 2. I love that feel. You hear that in ragtime and lots of different styles. Okay, so the first thing that I played is this A note, which is on the 5th fret, 1st string. So let's talk about counting it in. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and. 1 and. So it's on the and of the first measure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So after we play that, and we're playing the A note because the 1 chord is an A, right? Makes sense. Then I come down to this note, which is the F sharp note. So the 2nd fret, 1st string, is your F sharp note. And to get there, I went like this. So open, 1st fret, slide up to the 2nd fret. So far nothing too super interesting, but at least you can start to understand why those notes work. And then after that, I let my index finger come down to the 2nd string on the 2nd fret. So in actual fact, you're really kind of barring the first 2 strings there on that 2nd fret. Now you can think about that if you were to look at the F sharp chord, and I were to play strings 1 and 2, those are the notes out of that chord. So you can see why they work. I'm just really picking out notes out of that chord. Right? So that's what we have so far. We have the A chord, the F sharp chord, and then it goes to the B chord. Now, when you think about a B chord shape, I like to think about the chord shapes that are right here where I'm at. So I'm looking at chord shapes that are in this neighborhood. So if I think of a B chord, I think of that chord shape. So that would be like your A chord shape. You You just slide it up 2 frets. Think of it that way, out of caged. So if I'm looking at that chord shape, I could play that lick, and that's the next thing we're going to learn. Now that sounds complicated, but once you break this down, this will be a lick that you can use going forward. It's actually pretty easy to play and associate with this chord shape. So let me show you how to play it first. We're going to start on the 2nd fret, 2nd string. We're going to go to 3rd fret, 4th fret on the 2nd string. Then we're going to go to the 2nd fret, 1st string. And then we're going to go to the 4th fret, 1st string. And then walk it down, 3rd, 2nd. So let's back up. We have... Alright, one more time. And then we come down to the 4th fret, 2nd string. And I walked it all the way down chromatically. 4, 3, 2, 1, open. So all together that lick goes. Notice once I came to that 2nd fret, 2nd string, I slid down to the 1st fret, and then I picked that last note, which is your B note, or the open 2 string. So once you understand that lick, or once you're able to play the lick, associate that now with this chord shape. You can see that I started on the 2nd fret and I went to the 4th fret. I did that on the 2nd string, I did that on the 1st string. And you can see when we're making this chord shape, look at where my fingers are. They're on the 2nd fret and the 4th fret. That should have made a little light bulb go off for some of you. Now that you can take that chord shape, let's try that over a D. It's the D chord using that same chord shape, which is the A chord shape out of caged. But look at how that lick would work. Right? So you can play that lick now over any chord. So if you're improvising now, just remember that lick as a word. Now you have that word that you have in your vocabulary, and you can use that word in context now over anything. You can play it fast, slow, you can go forward, backwards, you can play certain notes, but just start to play around with that. That's the lick. So let's back it up from the A chord. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now the song goes to the E chord. So I played. So that's easy to do, and it's easy to remember. Anytime I'm playing over an E chord, in any song that's got an E chord in it, I always can remember that that 1 string is an open E string. So that means I can get underneath it and I can play some notes that clash with that E chord, or harmonize with the E chord. Clash is probably the wrong word. So I started by sliding up to the 5th fret, 2nd string with my middle finger, and those are both E's. So I'm going to play the 2nd string and the 1st string. 2nd string, 1st string, downstroke, upstroke. And then we're going to come down to the 3rd fret and play 2, 1, 2. Those are the string numbers. 2, 1, 2. Down to the 2nd fret, down to the 1st fret. So backing up then we have... So let's back up and play over all 4 chords now. We'll be playing over the A chord, the F sharp, the B, and the E. So 1, 2, 3, 4, A, F sharp. There's your B, and now to the E. And then we go back to the A. And that's what I'm going to show you next. Now this is easy to do because if you think of your A chord right there, I'm just playing strings 2 and 3 out of your A chord. So that's the 2nd string and the 3rd string on the 2nd fret. And then watch this. That's just the pentatonic scale, A major pentatonic scale. So it's the 4th fret to the 2nd fret on the 3rd string, 4th fret to the 2nd fret on the 4th string, and then we come down to the 4th fret, 5th string. So we have back to the 2nd fret, 4th string. So that's very easy, it's just a walk down. Alright. Alright, Alright, so that's the whole first time through. Let me play through that one more time. We'll play us up to that point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Alright, now when you try that over the jam track, start with the slower version of the jam track. I've provided two of them. One is the tempo that I played in the intro, and one's a slower one. Just to start to get that. You'll start to feel it as you can play over those chord changes. It starts to click. Okay, the second time. So now that this is where the song repeats, so we go back through the same chord structure. So I'm going to start at the same place I did before, which would be the 5th fret 1st string. But then I'm going to come all the way up here to the 9th fret 1st string. Now why that note? If you think of your A chord, this is what I was doing when I did that. I was visualizing this A chord, which is just barring there on your 5th fret. And then I was visualizing the A chord up here, which is using the D chord shape. It's not a D chord, it's the D chord shape. But if you look at the 9th fret 1st string, that note is in that chord. So I just went, and then walked it right back up like we did the first time to the 2nd fret 1st string. So all of those notes in that part were played on the 1st string. And then the song goes to the B chord, and I went. This is another lick you can play over this chord shape. Let me show you how to do it. It's similar to the first time, but we're going to slide up to the 4th fret 2nd string, 2nd fret 1st string, 4th fret 1st string, 5th fret 1st string, back to the 4th fret, and then that's 2, 4, 2 on the 1st string. Now look at that lick and relate it back to that chord shape. So now if I were to say play that over an E chord using that chord shape, see how it connects to the chord shape? You're basically playing over the same frets that you've got your fingers in to make the chord. So now you can just quickly get into that lick in anything you're doing. If I said play that lick over a D, you should be able to do that pretty quickly. Now you can pause the video and quiz yourself, but what you would do is play right there. So these are little takeaways. So if you learn nothing else in this lesson, just walk away with a few of these licks that you can really beat up and understand and start to integrate into your own playing. You'll see how you quickly become a much more accomplished player when you do that. Alright, so let's back up and play through this second time. Now I did not mention that the second time comes in a little differently than the first time. So when we counted the first time, it came in on the and of 1. Remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and. The second time through, it comes in right on the 1. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, now this is where the song goes to the E chord, and what I played. That's an awesome little takeaway lick. It's just a harmonized. Really, you're just walking down the major scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You're walking down it, doing harmonized thirds. Let me show you how to play it, and then I'll show you how to think about this so you can use this in all your stuff going forward. I've got my ring finger on the 5th fret 2nd string, my middle finger on the 4th fret 1st string, and I'm going to play string 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. That's the pattern. Down, up, down with the right hand. We go down now 2 frets. So you started here. Then we're going to come down to strings 2 and 3. So this time I've got my middle finger on the 5th fret 2nd string, my ring finger on the 6th fret 3rd string. Again, same pattern though, 3, 2, 3 this time. Then we're going to take that down 2 frets. So let's back up. We have, and then we come all the way down to the A. So I'm just playing strings 2 and 3 on the 2nd fret. And then think of your A chord. Just strings 2 and 3 out of your A chord. That's really all I'm doing is playing the A chord. So if you like the sound of that little walk down. So let's go the other way. We'll start with the chord, and then let's add this shape. and then slide up 2 frets. Just that right there is a huge little takeaway that you can apply to anything going forward. Now you've got this way of playing a chord shape and a harmonized melody out of that chord shape, a harmonized third. So if I were to say, if you were to do that over a D chord, so that's how you can relate it back to your chord shape. And that's why I keep beating up that point, but that's really how I've learned to play and learn how to improvise on the fly quickly. Is I'm not really thinking about theory or scales or modes. I'm not getting into any of that in my head. I'm really just thinking about chord shapes, different voicings of those chords, and how these licks can kind of live around those chord shapes. Okay, let's back up now from the very beginning and play us up to where we are. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. After that, I walked us up to the D chord. So that's where it goes from the 1 chord to the 4 chord. And so to play that, I'm just thinking about, since I'm playing over the 1 chord now, I'm just thinking about the major pentatonic scale, pattern 1 for A. So that's just a hammer on between the 2nd fret and the 4th fret on the 4th string, back to the 2nd fret, 4th string. Then we come down to the 4th fret, 5th string, and then the open A string, or the open 5th string. And then from there, we're going to walk it up to the 4 chord, or to the open D string, because the D chord is your 4 chord. So that's the open 5th, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 4th fret, all on the 5th string. Now this is where the song, now I haven't gone over these chords, so these are a little different. So we're going to be playing over a D sharp diminished, or an E flat diminished, and then an A chord. And we're just going to start with those 3 chords. So let's start with that D chord. So remember, we walked up, we're on the D chord now, that's the 1 of the next measure. And what I played, now you can think of this 2 different ways. You can think about, I'm either playing an A major pentatonic scale because the song is in the key of A, which is right. It's that 2nd fret to the 4th fret like we've been doing. Or you can think about playing over that chord change. So we're playing over a D chord, and that would be pattern 4 of the major pentatonic for the key of D. So you have that. So there's 2 different ways you can think about it. It's the same notes either way. I'm just giving you 2 different ways to process it. So what we're doing then is slide from the 2nd fret to the 4th fret on the 4th string, and then the 2nd fret to the 4th fret on the 3rd string. Then I come up to the 5th fret, and you can see how that sounds a little more bluesy. We just jumped off the path of the major pentatonic. So it's a 5th fret, 4th fret, down to the 2nd fret. It's an easy lick to play. Actually, the way that I played it, or the way that I tabbed it, is once I played that 5th fret, I came back to the 2nd fret, and then the 4th fret, and then so you got. So it sounds like that. So backing up from where we go into that 4 chord. Okay, so then the song goes to the A chord, and I played. So let me show you how to play it, and then I'll show you how to think about it. It's pretty easy to think about it. So I'm sliding up to the 6th fret 3rd string with my middle finger, 5th fret 2nd string, 7th fret 2nd string, 5th fret 1st string, 7th fret 1st string. So you can see. And then I come up to the 9th fret 1st string, back to the 5th fret 1st string, 7, That's on the second string. So all together, that lick over the A chord. Now let me show you how to think about this. This will be like, when you see it, you'll be like, oh man, that was so obvious. So really all that is, I'll give you a couple ways, but I'm thinking about major pentatonic scale pattern 2 for A. So remember, we're playing over an A chord. So I was thinking about the A chord, and I could visualize the A chord here with the bar chord on the 5th fret. That would be your root fret. But I know that pattern 2 is here. So you can see where my middle finger is in that bar chord. That's pattern 2 of the major pentatonic scale for A. Pattern 1 is down here. There's pattern 2. So hopefully you'll connect that major pentatonic scale pattern 2 to this bar chord shape, or this little triad, however you want to think about it. Because that lick is so useful in blues and in jazz and country, western swing. You can use this all the time, and so that's why it's so common, because it's just right. You're basically playing that chord shape. So if you're doing it over a G. So that's what we're doing. So I came up and hit that 9th fret first string because I can't really bend on these strings. This is more like an acoustic guitar. If I was playing that on a Stratocaster, I might have just bent that. But that's why I like playing on these older guitars. It makes you can't bend the way that you normally can, or that you can on a guitar with lighter gauge strings, or at least I can. So it makes you play things a little different, and you get a different sound. So let's take it from where we go into the 4 chord. All right. Now this is where the song. So those are the first 3 chords. Then it walks back to the B chord. And so what I was thinking about, so we're going to continue playing the chord changes. So I was thinking about the B chord up here. That would be where now I'm barring on the 7th fret. And so I'm going to do a similar lick to the one that we did over the A, but this time it's going to go. This is another lick that you can use and play over this chord shape. You can do this over any chord now. As long as you're playing that chord shape, you can see this lick once I show it to you. All right, so we're going to slide up to the 8th fret 3rd string with your middle finger, 7th fret 2nd string, and now we're on the 10th fret 2nd string. And then we're going to take middle finger and put it down on the 9th fret 1st string. So we have, and then back to the 7th fret 1st string. And then watch this. So it's just a walk down. 10, 9, 8, 7 on the 2nd string. So analyze that lick. So we started out in major pentatonic scale, pattern 2, just like we did when we played over that A chord. Now we're playing over the B chord. So we have, but then that 10th fret 2nd string, that note is in the minor pentatonic scale, pattern 1 for B. So, and then I came up to the 9th fret 1st string. That's back to pattern 2 of the major pentatonic scale. So this is kind of dancing between minor pentatonic, major pentatonic. But it just gives you a very cool feel. And just remember, don't get caught up in all of that. Just remember the lick. I actually got this lick from Jerry Garcia. And so take that lick now and try it over a different chord. So do it over G. Right? Now you can use that in anything going forward. So after I played, the song then goes to an E chord. And I did the same harmonized 3rd walk down that goes. It's the same thing we did previously. Remember we were doing it over the A? It's the same kind of thing. But I was picturing, so I know the song, we went over an E chord. So I was picturing the E chord here. And I played 2, 1, 2. So that's one. My ring finger is on the 9th fret 2nd string. My index finger is on the 7th fret 1st string. 2, 1, 2. Slide that down 2 frets. 2, 1, 2. And then we're going to switch back to this shape. So now I've got my middle finger on the 5th fret 2nd string, index fingers on the 4th fret 1st string. So, and then I walk down. So at this point, I was thinking of that augmented chord. So I put my index finger on the 1st fret 2nd string, and then I played the open 1 string. So you have. And then we go to the next chord. Now we're gonna cycle through and have another whole version of this where we're playing some chord shapes, some little triads. But I'm gonna save that for the part 2 video because that's a lot of information that we've already crammed into this lesson. So just remember, don't get caught up in trying to understand the theory too much. Just try and get some licks that you can relate to things that you already know so that you can start to play and make little progress. It's like baby steps when you're learning to play this kind of stuff. You know, once you get those few little words in your vocabulary, start using them in every way that you can, and then it starts to sink in. All right, so just remember, if you're not a premium member, check that out. It's a great deal. You get the tablature, you get the part 2 video, you get the slow walkthrough, the interactive tab, the jam track. You get all these extra things, and I put out lessons like this every week. All right, I'm going to back up and play through this one more time, and then I'll see you in part 2. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.